Here's the script, 811 words, within the 850 plus or minus 5% target. In December 1984, a Venetian man known in the medical record only as DF stopped sleeping completely, and neurologists still cannot fully explain how a single walnut-sized structure buried deep in his brain took 7 months to kill him. He didn't sleep poorly. He didn't dream less. He stopped entering sleep at all, and his body began failing in a sequence no doctor had ever charted before. DF was 53. He'd watched relatives die the same way, going back generations in the same region outside Venice. His doctor, Ignazio Reuter, had married into the family and knew the pattern before DF ever became a patient. Months of creeping insomnia, then total sleeplessness, then death. Reuter sent tissue to researchers in the United States. What they found sat in a region called the thalamus, 2 structures, one on each side of the brain, each about the size of a walnut, sitting at the exact center of the skull. For decades, the thalamus had been filed under relay station, a switchboard. It passes sensory signals to the cortex and otherwise stays out of the story. DF's case broke that filing system. Under the microscope, his thalamus wasn't inflamed or infected. It was riddled with holes, a spongy, porous tissue like something eaten from the inside. The tissue loss wasn't scattered. It concentrated almost entirely in 2 small thalamic nuclei, structures smaller than a pea. And as that specific tissue vanished, DF's sleep didn't just get worse. It disappeared entirely and it never came back. The obvious theory was infection, some Venetian regional virus, maybe environmental, maybe passed through water or soil in the villages where the family had lived for centuries. It fit the geographic clustering. It fit the generational pattern. Test after test came back clean. No virus, no bacteria, no toxin in the blood, the water, the walls of the houses. Whatever was destroying DF's thalamus wasn't coming from outside his body at all. Here's what breaks the infection theory completely. The disease was inherited, but it wasn't inherited the way infections spread. It traced a single mutated gene, PRNP, the gene that codes for a normal protein already present in every human brain. In DF's family, 1 letter of that gene's code was wrong, and that single substitution turned an ordinary protein into something that folded incorrectly, then forced neighboring proteins to misfold the same way, spreading not like a germ, but like a chain reaction, protein converting protein, deep inside a structure the textbooks called a switchboard. But the strangest part isn't the mechanism. It's what losing that specific tissue actually did to DF while he was still alive. He didn't slip into a coma. He entered something closer to a waking trance, eyes open, gesturing through the motions of daily tasks he wasn't performing, saluting, buttoning invisible clothes, as if his brain were running a dream with no body asleep to contain it. His heart rate climbed and wouldn't settle. He sweated through his clothes in a cold room. His blood pressure spiked and crashed on no schedule doctors could predict. His body was in a permanent, low-grade autonomic storm, as though something at the very center of his brain had been keeping his organs in check for 53 years, and only now, with it gone, could anyone see the job it had quietly been doing the whole time. That's the detail researchers still argue about today. The hypothalamus is supposed to govern the sleep-wake switch, not the thalamus. By the textbook model, DF's condition shouldn't have been possible. A handful of destroyed thalamic nuclei should not have been able to erase sleep entirely, and it should not have been able to unravel his heart rate, his temperature, his hormones, one system at a time. Some researchers argue the thalamic damage disables a gating circuit the hypothalamus depends on to work at all. Others argue sleep was never one center's job to begin with, and the thalamus was doing something closer to conducting it. No version of the theory has been confirmed. Every family diagnosed since, fewer than 50 worldwide, dies the same way DF did, generally within 18 months of the first symptom, and the autopsies always circle back to the same walnut-sized structure with the same pattern of holes. DF died in April 1985, 7 months after the insomnia began, having not slept a single confirmed hour in his final 10 weeks. Reuter's notes on the case became the first documented account of what's now called fatal familial insomnia. Nearly 40 years later, no treatment exists, no cause of death beyond the thalamus stopped working, has ever been agreed on, and nobody has been able to say with certainty what that structure was doing for the rest of us the whole time it was still intact.